Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I am very excited you are here today. Before we begin, I want to give a little quick disclaimer based on the comments from part 1. Listen guys, we are covering a full 10 years worth of music, so there is absolutely no way I'm going to be able to touch on every single big song and album. We don't have time. But with that being said, if there's anything that I missed that you feel was very important to that time period, please comment it down below. This is a safe space. In case it isn't clear, this is part 2 to the music of the 2010 series, so go watch part 1 if you haven't already. This video is covering the music from 2014 to 2016, so let's get into the fun. I would say that 2014 is a very important year of music for us because it was the true shift that the new kids on the block, Gen Z, actively remembers all of these releases and how much of an impact it had on our lives. These songs, albums, and collaborations that were released that year truly raised us and turned us into the people we are today. There was a definite continuation of the EDM sounds of 2011 and 2012 going into 2014. It was pretty common for popular DJs and main pop girls to collaborate, and when that would happen, no one was safe. I cannot discuss 2014 without talking about Break Free by Ariana Grande and Zedd. I remember seeing this music video in middle school and thinking this is the most genius concept on the planet. This song was everywhere from the radio to commercials. Ari had a true hit on her hands. Zedd had a couple more hits that had us jumping up and down like Clarity. This is one of those songs that if you don't enjoy it on some level, I'm going to assume you're a very miserable person, and I hope you get better. That year was also a time where we got songs that sounded summery, like they're only meant to be played in the summertime. Summer of 2014 comes around and we get one of the most youthful, infectious songs of all time, Shower by Becky G. Light me up inside like the 4th of July. I think we can all agree that we eventually hated this song because it followed us absolutely everywhere, but I can appreciate it now. The music video was some sort of multiverse of madness because why is a pre-debut Doja Cat in the background? It's really crazy how time changes things. 2014 was a very important year of music because all of the pop girls were collaborating and some of the most influential songs of the decade were released that year. If we want to talk about music really stopping us in our tracks, then we have to discuss Feeling Myself by Beyonce and Nicki Minaj. Cause I'm feeling myself, jack off. He think about me when he wax off, wax on. When Beyonce said world stop, she very much meant that. This collaboration was a moment in time that can't ever be replicated because the impact it had will never be matched. You cannot go on Instagram without seeing world stop and carry on posts or memes involving the song. Male or female, it make no difference, I stop the world. World stop. Carry on. I still have beef with them though because we still do not have the music video at our access. What do you have to gain from not giving the general public that music video? Title, Your Day Will Come. Speaking of the music video, it really is one of my favorite videos of all time. The girls just look like they were having a good time. You can tell exactly what year it is just by looking at this music video. It's 2014 culture to a T. Like Beyonce's jersey dress. You were not an it girl if you did not own a jersey dress. If you did not pull up to the function or the party in a jersey dress and some Timberlands, you might as well have stayed home. 2014 is also the year of the Ariana Grande to kind of main pop girl pipeline. Hits upon hits came from the My Everything era, and I know y'all like to hate on it saying it's just a playlist. Well, it's a playlist full of fun. Problem with Iggy Azalea was the summer bop that had middle school me listening to it in school and walking to the beat in class. But the cultural impact of the biggest collaboration that year needs to go down in history. Who would have thought that a song with Nicki, Ariana, and Jessie J would raise a generation? People like to refer to this as the loudest song to ever exist, and I would have to agree, but I'm gonna blast it on high every single time. It was clear that we were going for an upbeat, girly vibe for pop music in 2014 because all of the albums released that year were just non-stop good times. One of the biggest albums to completely overtake that year and probably contributed to the Stan Wars of today Day is 1989 by Taylor Swift.
You got that daydream look in your eye.
Oh, you really just had to be there when this dropped. This was for sure the start to Taylor's reign, not just on pop music, but the entire industry. Blank Space and Style are objectively one of the best pop songs to exist in the past 10 years. However, the impact of Shake It Off is something I don't think could be repeated again because we don't get antics like this.
But I keep cruising, can't stop, won't stop moving.
Why she went from women twerking to being a ballerina all in the same music video, I'm still quite confused about. And how could we forget about Bad Blood and not just the star-studded music video and her beef with Katy Perry saying she sabotaged her tour, but also the random Drake commercial featuring the song?
Now we got problems, and I don't think we can solve them.
I don't know, there's something so comical about 2014. Dark Horse by Katy Perry was one of the biggest songs that year. Although it came out in 2013, it really hit its peak the following year. The music video had an Egyptian theme to it, which caused a lot of backlash, so much so that it had to be digitally edited after a petition of thousands signed for it to be taken down. And on top of that, people used this video as proof of her induction into the Illuminati. I feel like a celebrity accused of being in the Illuminati was some sort of rite of passage back then because it happened so often. The song itself, however, I still play to this day. Even Miss Katy was getting into the trap era of things. We cherish this song. But one of the most influential albums to come out that year, and not just a staple in pop culture, but is the blueprint for modern female rap, Nicki Minaj's Pink Print. This era was light years ahead of her previous ones as she went back to her roots of making a rap album at its core with a sprinkle of pop and dancehall to make one of the most iconic albums of the 2010s. The second single, Anaconda, broke records for its music video, with it having 20 million views in the first 24 hours. Rightfully so.
Boy, toy named Troy used to live in Detroit.
That whole video is forever burned into my brain. I sometimes have daytime visions of it. Only and Truffle Butter had Drake and Lil Wayne featured on both songs. I like Only slightly better because it has this.
For real, if you mouth off, I blow your face off. I mean, then I take off.
I do have beef with the people though because The Night Is Still Young peaked at 31. Do we not like to have fun? That's fine. We got the amazing collaboration between her and Ari, Get On Your Knees.
Get on your knees, get on your knees, get on your knees.
This album is full of so many gems for summertime, like Buy a Heart, Win Again, and Want Some More. But what do y'all know about Trini Dem Girls?
Rich them girls, them I pop the pum pum, them I wind up them waist, them I pop the pum pum.
I could go on and on talking about this album, but we have to move on. 2014 would most likely not exist without the debut of Miss Iggy Azalea. Fancy comes out and it rules the charts and all the H&M stores in the country.
I'm so fancy, you already know.
That is still one of the catchiest songs to ever exist. Iggy also featured on Problem with Ariana Grande, which went number 2, but only because Fancy by Iggy took the top spot. Say what you want about her, Iggy was the it girl of 2014. My personal favorite, however, will always be Work. It really went up at the functions.
I've been working on my shit. Now get this work.
2014 was also the year that a lot of songs, specifically rap and R&B songs, having this very specific trap sound that sounded kind of nostalgic but almost futuristic at the same time. So I'm gonna call this the turned era of 2014. And I think y'all know which sound I'm referring to.
Don't tell him, you ain't need. Don't tell him, don't tell him. You ain't even gotta tell him, don't tell him.
I wonder if all of these songs had the same producer, because why did they all have the exact same vibe? I'm not complaining because it made for a very fun summer that year. One song that completely took over that year and will always take me back to that time is Somebody.
I wanna take shots with somebody. Shots.
Jeremiah was very important to the mid-tempo R&B songs of the mid-2010s because when Planes was released, none of us were okay.
Tell her be free, baby, spread your wings, get your legs in the sky like a plane, let me guide that, I'm the pilot.
If you're around my age or older, then you remember a little app called Flipagram. If you know, you know. And I believe we all use this song in the background of our Flipagram videos, especially when it was someone's birthday. But the most iconic song to come out of this era was for sure 2 On by Queen Tinashe.
If you a lame nigga, you ain't making no noise. Get ready to turn up with the big boy.
We are very much Tinashe stans over here. I can recognize that song from the first 0.25 seconds of it. That's how impactful it was. Tinashe had a couple of other semi-hits that year, like All Hands on Deck. This is an unpopular opinion. All Hands on Deck is a very annoying song. I'm sorry, I don't like it.
All hands on deck.
She collaborated that year with Ty Dolla $ign and Charlie XCX, who was also having a really big year with her song Boom Clap, thanks to the Fault in Our Stars movie. The 3 of them came together for Drop That Kitty.
You like what I'm doing? Drop that kitty down low.
I feel like everyone collectively just doesn't remember this collaboration happening, because there have been multiple times where people online have never seen this song a day in their life and are like, when did Charlie and Tinashe collaborate? 2014 would also begin Sia's reign on pop radio, and her biggest hit that year was Chandelier. This song was like the plague. You couldn't escape it even if you tried. Maddie Ziegler from Dance Mom starred in the video, which cemented her into a level of stardom outside of the dance and TV world. Closing out 2014, I have to discuss one of the most annoying songs to ever exist, and I still have PTSD from, Happy by Pharrell.
Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth.
Let's just move on because I can't take it. In 2015, there was an app that was hugely popular called Musical.ly that every teenager used, including me. As more time went on, we kind of referred to it as the TikTok before TikTok, but I wouldn't say that's applicable anymore. But it still made a huge impact on pop culture, because I would say this app's popularity aided in songs being specifically made for dances. And one of the biggest songs to come out of this era was Watch Me by Silento.
Now watch me whip. Now watch me nay-nay. Now watch me whip. Watch me nay-nay.
You can call me a hater, but I never liked this song. I did not partake in the festivities. It always gave me this weird tingly feeling in my ear. My personal favorite to come out of that era was Hit the Quan.
Sneaks with a designer belt. Please watch your step, cause I'm feeling myself.
Wow, we were really just doing anything, and I absolutely loved it. We cannot forget about that one cheerleader song.
So I think that I found myself a cheerleader.
I just love how random songs were back then. That year, the biggest erotica movie ever was released, 50 Shades of Grey. And the biggest song to come from that soundtrack was Earned It by The Weeknd. This song ruled the pop radio. You could not run, you could not hide. And to this day, it still holds up pretty well. 2015 was the true start of trap music and R&B and rap being at the forefront of popular music. The songs and albums we got from this time are truly masterpieces and deserve many awards. And one of the most prominent ones from that era was Trap Soul by Bryson Tiller.
I get in my feelings, yeah. I start reminiscing, yeah. Next time around, fuck, I want it to be different, yeah.
I had no business listening to this song when it came out, but I was not gonna miss out on music excellence. Trap Soul was incredibly ahead of its time with its dark and rich trap production, and this sound would soon be the standard of R&B music for the following years and would cement Bryson as one of the next heads of R&B. Don't was the biggest single to come from this album, and rightfully so. It is a classic.
Girl, that man didn't show any ever. Do all I can just to show you you're special.
Exchange and Let 'Em Know were the next biggest singles from this album, and Let 'Em Know is the superior song.
Right now, you are now tuned in.
Don't argue with me, you know I'm right. But the trap album of that summer was for sure Shrem Life by Ray Shremmerd.
You just got cash. Blow some out. Blow some out.
This album was just hit after hit with absolute bangers with a more gritty southern feel to its trap sound. No Flex Zone, No Type, Throw Some More, This Could Be Us, and Come Get Her were the singles released, and they had a huge impact on rap that year. The amount of times I would be walking down the school hallway and I would hear someone say, "I ain't got no type." we all knew what time it was. 2015 would not be 2015 without the commercial debut of an artist that ruled that year, Fetty Wap. He released the iconic summer banger Trap Queen.
And I can ride with my baby. I'll be in the kitchen cooking pies for my baby.
While I do appreciate this song, I've always liked 679 just a little bit better. Rihanna also had a huge trap hit that year with Bitch Better Have My Money.
I call a shots, like blah, blah, blah.
The fact that she put this out because her accountant was stealing her money and almost made her go bankrupt, and now she's one of the richest celebrities on the planet. Icon behavior. But one song that will forever take me back to that time period is The Hills by The Weeknd. This song was a more melancholy trap R&B song compared to most that year, but it's still one of the best to come from that time. Beauty Behind the Madness would be the start to The Weeknd's reign on music, as it spanned multiple hits with completely different sounds. The most jarring was I Can't Feel My Face.
I can feel my face when I'm with you, but I love it.
I didn't appreciate this song at the time because I was hearing it way too many times, but it really stood the test of time. But I would put Tell Your Friends in the top 3, and it's not number 2 or 3. Switching gears a little bit, 2015 was also the year that a bunch of the newer pop girls were all debuting all at the same time. And because of that, I thought some of them were the same person. It's not a drag, just an observation. That year, Alessia Cara debuted with her debut single Here, which was a mid-tempo R&B infused pop song all about being at a party where you don't know anyone and everyone else seems to be having a good time but you. Well, Miss Ma'am, if you weren't enjoying yourself, you could have just gone home. Here was a bit of a sleeper hit, so it really didn't catch on till much later, right around the time of her debut album, Know It All. Here, Scars to Your Beautiful and Wild Things were all released as singles and were on rotation constantly on the radio. Another pop girl to make her commercial debut that year was Hailee Steinfeld with Love Myself. I would say that radio stations were at its peak during this era because it was playing the same 5 or 6 of these girls, but it made for a good listening experience. Bebe Rexha and Rita Ora also had their commercial debuts that year, but 2 of the biggest debuts to come from this time was Halsey and Meghan Trainor. Halsey came out with Badlands, her debut album, with the hits Closer and Castle, but she would really become a force in 2016, so we'll move on. Meghan Trainor shakes up the industry with her debut single All About That Bass in 2014.
I'm all about that bass, no trouble.
Which led into the many hits from her debut album title. The album was a doo-wop retro-inspired album that had an old school feel with a modern twist. The singles All About That Bass, Lips Are Movin', Dear Future Husband, and Like I'm Going to Lose You made the album a huge success, adding her to the list of the new pop girls of 2015. That year, Selena Gomez released Revival, which took her to a full adult pop star with its more sensual appeal for her image. This album was an electro pop record, but with a more toned down production to it, which is what pop music was starting to sound like. She had the huge hits Good For You with A$AP Rocky, Same Old Love, Hands to Myself, and Kill 'Em With Kindness to worldwide success. It was after this that Selena would kind of become a radio darling, as her songs were always being played on there and topping the charts, and that reign would last for the next coming years. 2015 was also the release of the biggest album that year and one of the best-selling albums of all time, 25 by Adele. This album was hugely anticipated because she went radio silent since 21, and the people were wondering, where's the music? She releases Hello as the debut single to begin the era, and it was a worldwide success, selling over 1 million copies in the first week and was number 1 on the charts for 10 weeks. She released When We Were Young, Send My Love, and Water Under the Bridge as the lead singles.
If you're gonna let me down gently, don't pretend that you don't want me.
Send My Love was a more upbeat adult contemporary song, which was a very big shift from her normal mid-tempo, slower pop songs and ballads. 21 will always be top tier to me, but 25 was most definitely that girl. Between 2015 and 2016, a new variation of EDM and pop music was becoming popular that sounded kind of summery, but also very annoying. So I'm going to refer to this as, you know, the tropical house EDM era of 2015.
Why am I
the biggest reasons we went through this little phase in music was Justin Bieber. He releases his highly anticipated album Purpose in 2015, and radio stations were never the same again. He completely ambushed my freshman year of high school with What Do You Mean?
What do you mean?
And I will never forgive him for it. I do have a special place in my heart for Sorry though. I would say Purpose is my third favorite album from him. Journals will always remain number one. But the deep cuts on this album find it fighting for that number 2 spot. No Pressure is one of the best songs in his discography, and I'm not exaggerating when I say this.
You ain't gotta make your mind up. You ain't gotta make your mind up right now.
A song that very much gave that summer vibe but with a more rock feel was Cool for the Summer by Demi Lovato. This was a complete rebrand for Demi into a more sexier image with a different edge for her music. I used to play this game called Episode in high school, and they had a Demi Lovato story on it, and they would always use this song in the background of it. Because I played it so much, I eventually hated this song, and I haven't listened to it since 2016. Going into 2016, this tropical house sound was really gaining momentum, and one of the biggest songs that year with this sound was Closer by the Chainsmokers and Halsey. I really don't want to talk about this song because I still get hives from it, so we're gonna move on. Another aspect of 2016 that was honestly a fever dream was the music that filled the summertime. 2016 was the true heyday of trap music and R&B and rap, and is widely known as the best year of music for summer that we refer to as Summer 2K16. There is a reason that the people are always like, I want this summer to give Summer 2016, and it's because the music was just on a whole nother level. One song that completely captures that time period as a whole is Caroline by Amine.
Bad things, fine as hell, thick as fuck, oh my god.
We all knew where we were when this song dropped. I really feel it just releases dopamine in the air because I've never once met someone that was unhappy while listening to this song. That summer was also the year of Lil Yachty's come up in the industry, and one of the most recognizable songs with him on it was Broccoli.
Hey little mama, would you like to be my sunshine?
This really was the last true era of fun, actually. The albums we got that year with this sound is so iconic that I would refer to them as Gen Z anthems. You know we can't go on without talking about The Coloring Book by Chance the Rapper.
One more label try to stop me, it's gonna be some dreadhead.
It is physically impossible to sit still when that song is playing. The Coloring Book was really ahead of its time for infusing trap production into a mainly gospel album, creating a body of work that is incredibly timeless. He managed to get Justin Bieber, Future, and Lil Wayne all on the same album. Oh, okay. But the true album of that summer definitely goes to The Life of Pablo by Kanye West. This era caused so much controversy because him and Kim were beefing with Taylor Swift, which would last for the next couple of years. However, the music was still jumping. I remember what exactly I was doing and what I was wearing when Father Stretch My Hands Part 1 came out.
Beautiful morning, yeah, the sun in my morning, babe.
2016 was especially fun because we got yet another viral dance challenge, but this time it was from Black Beatles by Ray Shremmerd, and it gave us the Mannequin Challenge.
That girl is a real crowd, please. Small world, all her friends know of me.
Besides the summer music, 2016 was also a really big year of a lot of iconic albums all being released at the same time. The year prior, Zayn officially left One Direction and had teen girls all across the globe bawling their eyes out in their room. But from that, he released his debut album Mind of Mine, with Pillow Talk being the lead single.
So we'll piss off the neighbors in the place that feels the tea.
To this day, I still love this music video. The album would go on to international success, going multi-platinum on the charts and in my home. I listen to Fool for You every single time I'm driving at night. It was made for that. That year was also the release of Shawn Mendes' second album, Illuminate. He made his debut in 2015 with Handwritten, but it was this album that took him to being the new teen heartthrob of the late 2010s. You could not escape this man and his hits. The radio was nothing but Sia and Shawn Mendes. Treat You Better, Mercy, and There's Nothing Holding Me Back topped the charts for weeks.
Oh, I've been shaking. I love it when you go crazy.
I would say at the time that Shawn Mendes was our generation's Jesse McCartney. Dangerous Woman was also released that year, which was Ariana's shift into a more sexier and mature image, having a lot more songs on the album. While this album wasn't the shift to her being the acclaimed artist she is today, it's still one of the biggest highlights of 2016. Into You and Dangerous Woman were released as singles, but the collab with her and Nicki Side to Side falls into the Song of Summer category. The deep cuts on this album are some of the best in her discography. I don't care what any of y'all say, I want awards for Leave Me Lonely. And the fact that we didn't get Step On Up on streaming platforms until very recently is weird behavior, and I'm always going to remember that. 2016 marked the shift that The Weeknd took from his more traditional dark R&B sound to a more pop sound with Starboy. I feel like most people despise this album because it was the one that made him do pop, but I'm not one of them. The title track Starboy became one of his biggest hits up to that point with its dark electro pop sound. He worked with Daft Punk again for the disco pop track I Feel It Coming, which also reached critical and commercial success, cementing his space as one of the most prominent male artists in pop music. The list of albums continues because we also got Bruno's highly anticipated album 24K Magic, which was a complete 180 from him from his previous works. The album had elements of 70s soul and funk on it that made it perfect for the fun year of 2016. He released 24K Magic as the first single. Guess who's back again? And it became the low-key go-to song for family cookouts. He really did his thing with this album because he released That's What I Like and Versace on the Floor as the following singles, making the era a huge success. This was Bruno's biggest era yet, as it won him 6 Grammys at the 2018 Grammys. The people were angry when this happened, but I wasn't. Do we not award excellence? This era also lasted for 2 years, ending in 2018 with the remix of Finesse featuring Cardi B, the It Girl of 2017.
Drop top Porsche, rollie on my wrist, diamonds up and down my chain.
This is the only version of the song I listened to. I don't know what the original one is. 2016 was another huge year for Drake as he released his album Views to worldwide success and gave us some of the most recognizable songs of the decade. The impact of Hotline Bling in society needs to be taught in history class.
Call me on my cell phone. Late night when you need my love.
This was a true hit. Kids and adults were absolutely obsessed with this song. He also released One Dance, which would mark Drake's venture into doing Afrobeats inspired songs, which was also a really big hit that year. I would say this album is a summer album through and through. Certain songs are meant for the daytime and other songs are meant for summer late night drives. One of the most important albums to come out that year without a doubt was Anti by Rihanna. This album was her most cohesive and experimental and was incredibly ahead of its time, pulling sounds from 70s neo soul infused with trap to create a body of work that is incredibly timeless. She released Needed Me, Love on the Brain, and Kiss It Better as the album's singles, all to huge success. But the song Work with Drake fully took over that year, breaking streaming records at the time.
If it work, 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 you see me, I be work, 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 work.
I'm not gonna lie, I heard this song way too many times that I'm probably never going to listen to it ever again, so I support it from a distance. Anti is Rihanna's best album to date, and all we can do is cherish it until she decides to grace us with another body of work whenever she feels like it. And finally, we cannot close out 2016 without talking about the most influential and critically acclaimed album that year, Lemonade by Beyonce. This album came after the controversy of Jay-Z cheating on Beyonce and the whole elevator debacle where Solange beat his ass. And this was her way of storytelling her thoughts and her emotions during it. Lemonade was Beyonce's most vulnerable and heartfelt album up to that point, and you can really see the shift within the album, being heartbroken and angry in the beginning to the end of it, finally forgiving and moving forward, but being very cautious. I mean, she did say, if you try this again, you gonna lose your wife. So I wouldn't mess with her. The most impactful song from this era was definitely Formation.
I see it, I want it, I stuck yellow, want
I still watch her performance at the Super Bowl for this song that everyone forgot Coldplay was headlining because all we remember is Bruno and Beyonce. And yes, I know the choreography like the back of my hand. I would put Lemonade at number 3 in her discography because I'm a fun girl, so Renaissance and Self-Titled are my go-tos for summertime. B-Day, however, shifts from 4 to 3 depending on my mood. Anyways, that is the end of part 2 of music of the 2010s. Part 3 will cover 2017 to 2019, which is a fever dream all on its own, so be prepared and turn on those notification bells. If you like this video, let me know by giving it a like and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Also, check out some of my other videos. I think they're very much a good time, so please go enjoy yourselves. I really want to thank all of you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.